2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. $30 seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
They are absolutely desperate to pretend the last 4 years never happened and for them to go back to what they liked to do before, which is create these massive spending bills to pretend that it's really, really important to you when you only get about 5% of what's in the bill, and they can't do it because we're aware of it. We're paying attention to it, and they don't like that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
That's right. This is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Welcome into the program, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship station, all over the radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, watching or listening. We appreciate you. There's nothing to talk about today, right? Nothing to talk about today. We have a full slate today for the show. It's going to be a very quick show, obviously, because it goes by so fast. We have two great guests. I want to get to our first guest here in just a second. But first, there's a lot of talk on social media of what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now as we speak. And for those stations that air us on a little bit later time slot, we are just after 4 o'clock at Central Time in the afternoon right now on the Wednesday. I was planning on playing all the audio clips from the hearings today because there was some good stuff, there was some not so good stuff, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Now, here's my thoughts right off the bat with what's going on in Washington, D.C. Does anybody expect anything different? Honestly, let's be honest. Does anybody expect anything different right now? Now, I'm not going to be the extremely emotional one because, as you know, we are the voice of reason. We bring it away from the emotion and the reactionary. We bring it into the common sense, to the reasonable, to what's really going on and breaking it down. And I'm not upset with what's happening in Washington, D.C. Now, I am upset with the violence. I am upset with the shooting of the woman, although there are some stories floating around about what really happened there. I am upset about the way that some of the police officers were treated, although again, it was emotional and got out of hand. That's what protests do, unfortunately, and I don't like that in any way, shape, or form because, as you know, we do back the blue. We do support law enforcement, and I don't like to see that happen. Outside of that, I am not upset with taking over the people's capital. It is our capital, and we will have our capital. And the more you watch this, the more you pay attention to the mainstream media, the more you understand, hopefully, those of you that are like, what's really going on and do I really support this or not? The more you watch the media, you will realize why so many people are upset. You understand why people, the mainstream, the elites, the government, the establishment, whatever, the deep state, whatever you want to call them, don't understand us. And that's why it's happening, and that's why I fully support it. Not the violence, but I support the overrunning of our Capitol building. It is our Capitol building. Now, notice the difference. If you don't agree with this, Andy, really, that's a little extreme. Think about it this way. When we get upset, we go and take over our Capitol building because we're frustrated with our elected officials with the way they're handling certain issues. When the left gets upset, they go to private buildings, they burn them down, and they assault people in the streets. That's not happening here at all. We've taken our building. We've taken our Capitol because we're upset. What did you think was going to happen with the hearings today? We were going to hear some good speeches from Republicans. We were going to hear some ridiculous speeches from Democrats trying to blow off different voter fraud election issues, and then it would have been done. Democrats would have voted to not override the Electoral College. It would have been done over. We would have got our nice little sound bites. We would have had the nice little grandstanding. It would have been done. We would have moved on, and they would have hoped that it would have been over, and we just move on and just forget all about it. They don't understand that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Joe Biden, there is no way in hell that he received 80 million votes. They don't understand. The fact that the media is saying Donald Trump's not making a strong enough message for them to stand down and just go home. No, because it's not about Trump. They can try and pin it on Trump all they want to. It's not about Trump. It's not about Trump. It's about the system. It's about a government that no longer represents us. It is about a system where it's grandstanding. All grandstanding. Half the Republicans as well fighting this. It would have been for the grandstanding to stand up to say their piece. Yeah, we don't support it, just to try and win over the Republican base, the Donald Trump base, and then move on and be like, well, we did all we could. What do you think's going to happen even if there are a number of Republicans after the Georgia election last night, even if there is a Senate control? They're going to let things go through committees when they could stop it there. They're going to let things happen and slide through when they could have stopped it there. Then they go to the floor and be like, well, we try, but we just can't stop it. There's nothing we can do. And then we continue to allow the ever-growing size of government day in and day out. And that's not what we're about. We're done with it. We understand it. We see through the shade. We see through the curtains right now. And they don't want it anymore. That's why we see so many upset people when the media is out there and just, why are they doing this? This doesn't, just years of Donald Trump trying to fuel this. It's all Donald Trump's fault, is what they're trying to spread. They don't get it. They truly don't understand. They're completely lost. They have no idea why there are so many upset people in Washington, D.C. right now. No idea. Because they just don't get it. When we have 4 years of being called deplorables, racists, bigots, radicals, extremists, murderers with our Second Amendment rights and with our guns. While Black Lives Matter, by the way, and Antifa go out and literally burn down buildings, literally assault people, loot stores because that apparently is justice in some way, shape, or form, and the media calls it mostly peaceful, then you have 20,000 people show up, 100,000 people, whatever it is in Washington, D.C. today show up, and yeah, you know what? One person got shot. That's terrible. Not sure what's going on there. There was some tear gas that was thrown. Not sure what's going on there. Outside of those, like 2 incidents, 3 incidents, 100,000 people showed up, way more than those Antifa and Black Lives Matter protests, and it's a coup, and it's radicals and extremists. You know what? That's why we're upset. Because you didn't even cover half the protests from Antifa and Black Lives Matter, yet this is national news because we took back the people's house. And we're supposed to be upset? We're supposed to be the ones who just sit down and take it? That's why. That's why we're upset, because you just don't get us. You don't understand. We are angry because there's a system that no longer represents us. We have the grandstanding. We're going to fight this. And guess what? The fighting is the nice grandstanding to stand up, say something sweet, make us support them, and then we continue on with business as normal. No. When Joe Biden, in his pathetic statements, these radicals, these coups, these fringe radical extremists are on the Capitol ground, stand down. You're the one that's called to say radical for the last 4 years. You're the one that's called to say deplorable for the last 4 years. And then you're like, well, why are you so angry? I don't not support what's going on at the Capitol right now for us to stand our ground. I don't not support the taking of our building. Now, it could have been handled a little bit differently. Sure, it could have been handled a little bit differently. Guess what? That's what protests do, unfortunately, and that's what happened, and I don't condone everything that happened there. At the same time, we've taken back some of it, and I think it makes a strong statement. Where we go from here, I have no idea. The process after this, I have no idea. But I want to get some other people and get their thoughts on it here as well. So we had to bring him in here. He is our mental toughness expert. If anybody's going to talk about mental toughness and the emotions going on right now, it's this guy. I'm excited to have back on the show with us here, Eric Rittmeyer. Eric, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Andy, I'm living the dream, brother. I don't even know what to say, man. You just covered every single ounce of everything I was going to say. Spot on.
It's a unique time. I was listening to some of the media, and by the way, as we were watching it, the last thing I saw before I stepped out of the studio with the TV was a bunch of protesters like completely destroying a bunch of TV cameras because, well, it's the fake news, and I'm sure that they got emotional there. But right now, again, good on them. People are frustrated. Trump spoke. We know the election's messed up. We want some justice, and grandstanding up there and saying that we're going to do something and saying, well, we tried, I guess we have to move on and go back to business as normal is not going to cut it anymore. I think that we're starting to see a little bit different times. I mean, where do we go from here, Eric? What's next?
You know, it's crazy, Andy. I'm a mental toughness guy, right? I'm all about emotional control. I got to tell you, I've been losing my emotions today, man. The last couple of days, I just been, in my mind, I've been like, what is going on? Nobody should be surprised. I mean, where do we start with this? Nobody should be surprised at what's happening. Now, I agree with you. As far as the violence piece of it, that should not be happening. We still don't know what's going on there. There's lots of stuff floating around that they are Antifa that was planted in there, that they were paid to go out and cause violence, wreak havoc on behalf of the Trump supporters. I don't know what's going on there, but what we're seeing right now is just, it's a culmination of just, it's like waking the sleeping bear. How much do we take? Yeah. We watch these people in Washington, we watch our elected officials tell us to do one thing, then do the exact opposite. You got Pelosi sitting there with a $25,000 freezer. She's going to get her hair done. You got Newsom going out to eat when everybody's supposed to be shut down. You got Fauci saying wear a mask. He doesn't wear a mask himself. You got Governor Whitmer's husband thinks it's okay to take his boat out in the water. You got people getting arrested in their house for having more than 6 people. Like, this is craziness. This is pure insanity. What do you think is going to happen? At some point, people don't know how else to respond other than taking the steps they're taking right now. Minus the violence, I'm with you. I think it's time we start showing people that something needs to change.
Well, and as I mentioned before, I mean, with the protests, I'm not a big go out and, wave a flag and chant a nice little catchy phrase and then feel good that we did something. We need to do something more, and this is that something more outside of that violence. We didn't need to shatter the windows of the Capitol building. We didn't need to attack some of the police officers. We didn't need to have a shooting, as you mentioned, whether that was Antifa members that were infiltrated in that some were talking about. I don't see that. I see good old boys in camo hats with Trump flags saying, you know what, we're upset and we're going to take over our nation again. And sitting back with their feet propped up on desks of some of the elected officials saying this is our house, because it really is. You're right. When you poke the bear enough, eventually we say we can't deal any longer. You cannot say, here's some more regulation, here's some more taxes, here's some more control from the government. Take it. And then why are you so upset? We just need to all get along here. It's not going to. We're going to retaliate, and this is it. This is the stronger statement that we needed, because going to D.C., having 1 million people show up in D.C., do a little chant, applaud for Trump when he said that the election was rigged, and then go home just wasn't going to cut it this time.
No, and then the crazy thing is, it's amazing to me how quick everyone is to call this a mob, what's going on right now. Yeah. Yet anything that happened anywhere else with ripping down statues, with knocking on doors and yelling and screaming and threatening people's families, people sitting in Congress right now, that never matters. Burning down cars, burning down buildings, assaulting people because of the print that's on their shirt or the logo that's on their hat. Yep. None of that matters. You will not condemn anything. Anything that's happened so far, nothing gets condemned. You won't condemn Antifa. It's not even a real thing. It's not even a real. It's just the thought process, whatever. But the minute people storm the Capitol, it's automatically a mob. So it's this do as I say, not as I do mentality. And we're just at this point right now where people throw on top of it the pandemic, throw on top of the fact that people can't work. It's crazy. Then you got the head of the Proud Boys getting arrested. If you heard about that, he gets arrested for ripping down a flag, but you don't get arrested for burning and defacing an American flag. How backwards? I mean, what alternate universe do we live in where you're allowed to burn an American flag, but the minute you rip down it makes no sense to me at all.
It doesn't make any sense, and there's no way for us. I don't know where we go to reconcile from all of this, because there's such a division. As I mentioned earlier, they don't understand. They look at this crowd and they see the mob, they see the right-wing fringe, they see the radicals. Joe Biden said that it's just the little minority fringe out there just trying to cause havoc when Donald Trump started this. They don't understand. And if we're going to have rational conversation, if we are going to reconcile, if we are all going to get along finally and actually come to some kind of agreement, they need to understand why we're upset, and they won't get it. Even the media, after they played little Donald Trump's, go home. We know it was rigged. We know you're frustrated. We know the emotion, but go home because this isn't the way to do it. Even after that video, their first response from all the media outlets was, oh, well, he took one step forward and two steps back because he validated everything that they're frustrated about with invalidated voter fraud claims, and therefore he's actually trying to advocate for more of this violence. They don't get it until they understand why we're upset. This isn't going to go away.
It's not. You look at the last 4 years, Andy, and how we've just been crapped on, how we're called this, how we're called that, how everything, everybody hates us, we're this, we're that, whatever. It's all this division. The media, that's all they want to do is just sow this division and this mass hatred when nobody even dislikes each other. They refuse to call things for what they truly are. They take the exception and make it appear to be the rule. Now all of a sudden they win the White House. Now that it appears to be they're winning the Congress. Now they're winning everything. They got everything. So what now? Well, let's just come back and join hands and sing Kumbaya. It's like, what are they thinking is going to happen? So as far as what we do moving forward, that's the $1 million question. I don't know how we move forward at this point. I tell you where a big part of this starts. The media. We talk about Section 230. We got to do something about that.
We got to do something about it. Hang on the line. We got to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk about that. Where do we go from here, and how do we reconcile this? And then you're right. I mean, what is the next step after all of this, and can we move forward? Because it's a dangerous road ahead regardless. I think there's going to be some more of this down over the next few months. Eric Rittmeyer staying with us here on The Voice of Reason for a Wednesday. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
What a crazy day. Welcome into the show. 24 minutes past the hour. Thanks for hanging out with us today on the Voice of Reason for a Wednesday. What was supposed to be the hearings for the Electoral College certification, not that much anymore. They got to state number 3, which they challenged the state of Arizona. They were in their 2-hour debate session in each chamber, and then all I saw was the members running out of the room. My first thought, honestly, was I saw that the Trump supporters had gotten to the Capitol steps. I didn't know they were actually getting in the building because I just thought they were going to play the video. Oh, whoa, us, we feel threatened. Which, by the way, the media was fun too because they were like, as they had the reporter on the ground, they were like, do you feel really threatened with your life right now? You're in the middle of Trump supporters, these radicals, these coup members, these extremists. Do you feel threatened with your life? Again, nothing against taking over the Capitol because it's our Capitol building, and we'll see where we go from here. I think there's a lot of fear as well, the fact that the Democrats could have the presidency, the House, and the Senate, and if that's the case, we will never see a normal America again. We will have the courts be stacked. We will have higher taxes. We will see the country shut down with COVID fears. We will see mandatory mask mandates nationwide. We will see everything that is a worst possible scenario because of Democrat control, reversing everything Trump has done, overriding everything that even moderates want in this country to do their bidding. And I think there's a lot of fear there outside of the normal, like, well, this election was completely rigged. So you know what? Kudos on them because they're making their voice heard. It's just the question, where do we go from here? Eric Rittmeyer, we got another couple minutes with you, my friend. Where do we go from here? And do you think you're right? Are they scared of what we could see over the next year or so with a potential Democrat-run presidency in both chambers of the House the House and the Senate?
Yeah, the thought of that is just horrifying. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You talk about, how about open borders? Stacking the court's one thing. That's obviously, how about defunding police? I mean, these are all things that it's very real. These, for months, years now, we've talked about what if, and we don't want this because of that or whatever. It's happening now. It's happened. And with their total control, it's definitely a scary road ahead. I tell you what we got to do, Andy, which is not easy to do, but our party is very good at this. We got to dust ourselves off. If it was something fraudulent that was done, hey, we got to do what we can to prevent it in the future, but it's done and over with now. We got to dust ourselves off, and we have to come off of this emotional intoxication. We've got to get back to figuring out a plan. We have to look forward. I guess the word now is Trump's going to rerun in 2024. We have to reinvigorate our party, and we just have to learn how to deal with what's been dealt to us. I mean, that's what mental toughness is all about. It's objective reality. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a tough 4 years, but we have to figure out a way to move forward. And we do that by turning off the emotion and going back to logic again.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what we have to do. Go back to logic. Go back to the how can we solve this? Before it got interrupted, I was listening to Ted Cruz's speech about doing the special audit by having members of the House, members of the Senate, and members of the Supreme Court do a 10-day extreme audit on the election and then come out and see what we came out with. And if it doesn't come out with anything, then we accept the results. If it did, then you know what? Then we can solve it then. Finding that third option, which the Ted Cruz and conservatives usually are very good at doing, I was absolutely all about because we need to solve this because the grandstanding, the saying we're going to, and then, oh, it's out of our hands, we can't do anything. We're sick of it, and I'm 99.9% sure that government would have done that if we don't take drastic actions to force them and show them how serious we are about this.
If nothing else right now, Andy, even though this, let's be realistic here, there's a very, 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 very slim chance that the presidential election can be overturned. What I think is critically important is to show the people that we're going through every legal process we possibly can to restore some sort of credibility to the election process. Right. Without that credibility, that's a major problem. And we also have to, in the Marine Corps, we have a term called improvise, adapt, and overcome. It's what we use for every time we're faced with any type of adversity. The Republican Party, us on the right, us logical thinking people, we have to improvise, adapt, and overcome to find a way to come back bigger and stronger in 24.
So what we have to do, my friend. Eric Rittmeyer, mentaltoughnessspeaker.com is the website. You can go and check him out. He's also the author of The Emotional Marine as well. It's good to talk to you, my friend. I'm glad. Thank you so much for coming on last minute to talk about some of this. It's a crazy time. Let's get you back on again real soon as some of this progresses and we see where we're at.
Love to come back, Andy. Thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, always a good time, my friend, right there. Eric Rittmeyer. We'll take a break when we come back at Judd Dunning, author of the book 13 and a Half Reasons Why Not to Be a Liberal. He'll be joining us. And I'm sure there's a lot more reasons than that, but we'll talk with him after the bottom of the hour, get his thoughts on the latest and what's going on as well. It's the Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the Voice of Reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, welcome back into the program, radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. We are all over the place, baby. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a wild Wednesday for sure. You can follow us as we do the live streaming all over our social media at Hooser Reason. No I in Hooser, Hooser Reason. Also on the website at HooserReason.com. But you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, on Rumble, on Minds.com, on Parler.com. Doesn't matter where you're at. I'm still watching, so I'm on YouTube watching the streaming of the Right Side Broadcasting Network with some of the stuff going on, and they're not going anywhere. It is now almost the time for those radio stations that pick us up a little bit later. It is 4:35 Central Time right now, which means it's almost time for the curfew in D.C. See how well that works out. Again, I say, for those that have been very unclear and for those that have may try to misinterpret because you know what that's what the progressives do, good on them for taking the Capitol. Now, I don't like violence. I do not like extremism. I don't like some of the actions that were taken, but you know what? Taking over the Capitol, the People's Building, the Capitol, it shows a statement of not just going and showing or waving a flag and chanting a nice little cute thing, but actually sending a message that we are upset. And the fact that they don't get it. Listening to the media reports, listening to the coverage of this stuff, they just don't get it. Joe Biden's statement, just don't get it. And I think that's why so many people are so upset. It's understandable. 4 years of being called a deplorable, a racist, a jerk, a whatever else you want to call conservatives, clinging to your guns and your Bibles, they just don't get it. And I don't know where to go from here. And I don't like violence, and I hope this is short-lived and we can come to resolutions because that's what we have to do. But it's understandable exactly what's going on. I'm excited to have our next guest on the program to talk about some of this and more. He is the author of the book 13 and a Half Reasons Why Not to Be a Liberal and How to Enlighten Others. There's a lot more reasons not to be a liberal, but we'll start off with the good 13 here, shall we? It's Judd Dunning on the line with us here. Judd, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, my man. Good to hear you calling the truth right out the gate. We're glad to be on your show.
It is. I'm excited to have you on. I appreciate it. Your thoughts on this right now? I mean, there are so many conflicted people. I think in the back of their mind, a lot of conservatives are like, you know what? Good on them. They went, we showed up in voice in mass numbers, and we did more than just do a chant, but we showed that we're serious. We're not going to keel over. We're not just going to be like, well, you can go in Washington, you can do your grandstanding, you can say you're going to fight it, and then, oh, sorry, we couldn't do anything. Let's just move on and forget all about it and get back to business as normal. I'm sure that a lot of people who don't like this right now, in the back of their minds are like, you know, it's kind of needed to really send that strong message because now they can't avoid us, can they?
They definitely can't. It looks like Biden's over-assumptive call for unity has finally brought Antifa and the Proud Boys back to D.C. to maim each other for one last time. I mean, think about what he's done. He's like, I called for unity, by the way. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. And people just won't tune out, and we're just not drinking the Kool-Aid. We're just not letting it go by, and suddenly conservatives are the problem. Are you kidding me?
That's the big problem. I mean, when we've had 4 years of the media not covering Antifa protests, not covering Black Lives Matter protests, watching them burn down towns, watching them beat people in the streets, and they say, well, they're mostly peaceful, and how dare you try to classify them as terrorists? And then we have an incident with the Capitol where, one person was shot, and I hope that they're okay. I've heard that they're not dead, so that's good news. Outside of that, with one shooting, and I don't think it was even someone from the actual rally that was a Trump supporter, and now they say that it's a coup, that we're just the fringe extremists, and after being called years of deplorables, racist jerks, now we're supposed to just have peace and harmony and just get along and just side with Joe Biden. Are they delusional? How can we go along with this?
Look, we have to keep our eye on the prize. I say this, the left is like a psycho ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. They're like, oh, well, let's keep moving, everything's fine, right? First of all, they tried to stab us, the Electoral College. Then they burned our house, the Mueller report. Then they crashed our car, the 25th Amendment. Then they boiled our cat, impeachment, and now they just want us to shut up and act like we're the bad person at the end of this play. I mean, we can't just tune out on the history of our relationship with the left. Suddenly today, I'm getting so many texts and emails. Oh, are you proud that conservatives, is this what you wanted? I'm like, actually, what we didn't want was the way you behaved the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And now, because of one incident, we're supposed to take responsibility? No.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And I love the analogies because it perfectly lays everything out. The big question is in your thoughts, where do we go from here, and can we reconcile? Obviously, the media doesn't understand. Joe Biden doesn't understand. Half of D.C. and Democrats and even some Republicans don't understand why we're so angry. If they don't understand the issue on why we're so frustrated, can we ever resolve the issue to be able to move forward?
It's going to be a fine line. I mean, here's the toss-up is, they're saying that, Pence said Biden's a Trojan horse for the radical left. I disagree. He's more like a mad cow. He's not an easy person to read. I mean, I see Joe as like a flip-flopping, power-hungry elitist, not a hard left Marxist ideologue like Obama. I think he's more of a political opportunist. And he actually has been moderate in some situations. So we have to keep that in mind. In the meantime, conservatism was red-pilled by Trump. We're no longer McCain or Romney conservatives. We're now aware of all the fundamentals, the biggest one being national pride and a sense of self-respect as hardworking Americans that, Trump awoke in us. And I think a lot of young people are aware of this. So what do we do? What's the high road? We always take the high road no matter what in conservatism.
Well,
I think what that is God, faith, family, keep moving, and keep working hard till we get control again.
Amen to that, and that's what we do. And we're not the over emotional type, which I know is hard during a protest like this and during a standing like this. It's very emotional there, and I'm seeing some of the video going on. So obviously there's emotion running high. But overall, I mean, talk radio gets criticized for not being emotional enough. Democrats can win over emotion because they bring the emotion out. They bring people to a certain agenda that's wrong, but as long as you can bring emotion behind it, then they win, whereas conservatives are more analytical. We're more intellectual about these things. We need to bring the analytical side of how do we address this in a real reason. I mean, before all this happened today, listening to the hearings, Ted Cruz with his idea for the 10-day audit with the Senate, with the House, with the Supreme Court to sit down and do an audit on the election is a perfect third option that I loved to have as an option to say, you know what, let's really get down to the nitty-gritty here. If there's nothing when they come back, then so be it. We'll move forward. Or if there is, then we can address it. But at least there's an option rather than just saying either yes, there's fraud or no, there's fraud and just accept it and move on. We got to find solutions here. And that's why we're smarter than the average left-wing Democrat, and we can figure out the issues here.
Yeah, we didn't ask Pence to steal. We asked Pence to stall.
Yes.
Stall to go into a 10-day period of inquiry. Since the very beginning, what have we been hearing? Trump's false and baseless, conspiratorial, rather than his alleged claims. For me, that's the issue right there. Like, they negated due process in a brainwashing, repetitive statement. Oh, false, baseless, conspiratorial. Wait a minute, due process. And that's really all we wanted today, was for people to say, hey, let's slow this down, let's do the inquiry so that we can actually have real unity, not Biden's assumptive overriding unity. And what you said about emotion, I think it's really true. I mean, we definitely lay back, but at the same time, conservatives, when, for example, when Romney lost, it was said that we weren't as mean as the left to win. We didn't play a hard enough game. Ben Shapiro says, run to the fire. So there's a moderate level where I think at least conservatives now are more awake because of the deconstructionist, anti-institutional Trump. You know, people got uncomfortable because it didn't fit in the mold. But you know what? Sometimes you need to break the mold a little bit to let it reform into something new. And I think that's where we're at now. We're in a balance of we're still conservative, but we're more proactive.
Exactly, and that's exactly where we need to be. And I have to admit, back in 2016, I was not a fan of Trump. I was a Ted Cruz guy because we like the straight constitutional, legal action. Let's do this thing. I mean, that's where most conservatives were because Trump was so unconditional. We're like, I don't know, but now looking back in retrospect, I mean, it was exactly what we needed. Being the unconditional, let's shake things up and wake people up, and that's what we're seeing. So you're right, we have more people awake now, which means going back to the business as normal in D.C., being with those liberal policies, spending on this ridiculous COVID tax bill where 90% of the COVID bill goes to foreign agencies and foreign governments. That type of mentality is not going to fly anymore in D.C. because there are so many people awake, and we have to give credit to the populist conservative movement that Trump started, didn't we?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was exciting. It's been an exciting time. Regardless of what happens, we're a very old republic, and we always say, it's the end of the Democrat Party, it's the end of the Republican Party. We have sustained for a very long time, and power actually rotates pretty well through our country. I think right now we're coming to a crisis of the justice system because the elites of America seem to be outside of the natural penalties of their actions. We haven't seen somebody go down the top for a long time, and we know power and money is moving around. So I'm hoping that this crisis gets worse and worse and worse. So we'll see if Biden shuts it down. If not, it's going to be another 4-year cycle till we get into office to try to take it again. I'm pretty confident that this run of anti-American socialism is going to fall flat on its face, and power will vest again to the right, if barring some miracle before the 20th of this month.
I really hope so. Judd Dunning, the author of the book 13 and a Half Reasons Why Not to Be a Liberal. We got just about 45 seconds left, but I mean, can we bring that back? As you mentioned, can we bring the socialism to its feet? Because right now I think that's why people are so concerned in D.C. is that they're concerned that the Democrats are going to have the president, the House, and the Senate. They're going to override everything Trump did. They're going to stack the courts. They're going to put in all these progressive values, and there's no coming back from that. I think that's what everybody's afraid of.
Yeah, definitely. And, they called Trump old 45. They should call Joe old 25 because that's the amendment I think they're going to use to get rid of him. And Kamala Harris is going to be the socialistic nightmare that we have in place there. Look, we really talk about this a lot in our book, 13 and a Half Reasons Why Not to Be a Liberal. You can get it on Amazon. We're focusing on the facts of every reason of what we need to, why we're conservatives, and we're just going to hold the line for 4 years, get through this. And as far as those patriots out there in Washington, D.C., you know what? Sometimes change is ugly. And, I stand by the people that are at least challenging the system because stuff is serious. We need to maintain our global integrity and dignity as Americans, and it's challenged right now.
Amen to that. I'm so glad that we were able to get you on the show today because this is exactly what we needed to hear, being able to fight the system, to change it, as you mentioned, and it's tough sometimes and it's ugly. At the same time, we can multitask and at the same time trying to spread the conservative message and explain why liberalism is not the right thing. Judd, we appreciate it. We got to get you back on the show again real soon, man.
Love it. Amen. God bless America.
Hey, you as well. Appreciate it very much. We'll take a break here, wrap up the show, get your thoughts on this as well with some of the streaming comments as the chatterbox is going crazy today. We'll do all that and more here for a Wednesday on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, welcome back into the program. Just a few minutes left here. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting on a wild Wednesday that it is. There's a lot to get to, obviously, and there's a lot of opinion. There's a lot of emotion, and as you know, kind of the reasonable guy here that tries to promote reason and common sense and thinking logically. That's what we're all about. Let's step back from this and think about it for just a second, shall we? I don't know where we go from this. I don't know if it will do any good. It may harm us more than it will help us unless we stick with it. You can't give up now. I mean, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it. You can't give up now and just be like, well, that was cute. We took Nancy Pelosi's seat. I saw a picture of a guy who was sitting back with his feet kicked up on the desk of Nancy Pelosi's office, and they said they found it. They found Nancy Pelosi's office. Okay, that's nice, but if you just get driven out by law enforcement and then you just go home and it's all done, then it will look extremely bad for us on the conservative mind, because we're there to fix things. We're not just there to cause havoc. That's what the left end of the aisle does, isn't it? They always go in, they burn down the car dealerships, they loot the stores, they steal the cash registers, they beat up people in the streets, they try to attack small business, and then they leave it like, yeah, that was justice, baby. We got it. You can't do that. There's a reason for this. And again, it's not going to go away. The frustration, the emotion, the anger is not going to go away until the other side understands it. And when you dismiss us, when you ignore us, which has been happening, by the way, not just today, but for the last 4 years. Not just today during the protests with all the media trying to cover, but for the last 4+ years. You're a red hat. You're a MAGA hat wearer. You cannot be a part of this conversation any longer. You are a racist. You're a bigot. You're a whatever. You're a deplorable. Everything you say is completely discredited now. You are not part of this conversation because you are part of that crowd. Being dismissed for that long obviously is boiled over. Being dismissed until the left understands that. Until the media stops saying, well, Donald Trump and his message, he still credited them for the voter fraud and investigations that just are baseless claims of voter fraud. And he's still, and ABC, I watching George Stephanopoulos, was watching him as they were talking about it. And after they played the clip from President Donald Trump, they're like, just to clear the air, there's baseless claims. It's completely baseless. It's not actual real going on. It's no voter fraud actually going on. And I thought to myself right there, that's exactly why we're there. Because you don't get it. You are too stupid to understand why we're so upset. Until you validate what we are talking about that we know is true. We know it's true and you cannot hate it any longer. Until you validate we have a conversation. All we want is a conversation, for crying out loud. To talk about it. But we're not allowed to have that. DC does their platitudes. They get up, they do their grandstanding. Yeah, we think it's terrible. And then they sit down. The Democrat stands up and says, yeah, I think it's a bunch of garbage. And they sit down. And then they just vote and the Democrats will have control. And then we go about our business. And then we did our best. You just need to go back to complacency. But until then, we'll stack the courts, we'll raise your taxes, we'll shut down your business, we'll make you wear masks, we'll do all this other garbage. We'll go after the businesses, we'll go after corporations, we'll go after everything. We'll start giving you some more money, but we got to raise your taxes for that. We'll tell you what you can eat, we'll tell you what kind of cars you can have, we'll tell you when you can actually pass, flatulence. Doesn't matter. We will control you. Why can't you just get along? Why can't you just go along with it? Why can't we just have peace and harmony? When Joe Biden called us the fringe radicals just a few hours ago, that is why we're so upset. Take the Capitol. It is our Capitol. And when politicians represent more of the special interests they do the people, in both chambers, by the way, the Senate and the House of Representatives, then there's an issue. When they try to play the game like Mitch McConnell, well, we want to stop it, but we can't really stop it. Remember Obamacare? Remember the book Ted Cruz came out with about Obamacare? With Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell could have stopped it in the committees and didn't, and then said, well, we're outnumbered on the floor. We can't, the Democrats have the majority. We can't do anything about it. So I guess we got to let it go. Obamacare just got to happen. It's exactly what they do. It's the games. But just as our last guest said, as I've been saying for a while, we are now awake. We are now aware. We see it and we don't believe it. And they don't like the fact that we don't believe it. So what are we going to do? We're going to fix it. We're going to change it. And we're not going to do it in a violent way. We're not going to do it in a violent way. Although we are going to do it in a way that you're going to listen to us rather than just a rally where we could have been like, oh, yeah, hold the flag, do the chant, and then go home. And the politicians be like, oh, that's cute. We see that every single day. No, we're doing something about it. So good on you taking the Capitol. Hold it. Don't give it up. I don't know where you go from now, but I'm praying for you guys out there because we need to make a statement. And guess what? Even once this is done, even if Joe Biden does take the presidency, we're not going away because we know it's an illegitimate president and an illegitimate election from 2020. That does it for us today. We'll keep you posted on social media as well. Make sure to follow us all over there. Until then, Be your own voice of reason. Think about it logically, think about it reasonably, think about it through the lens of common sense, and let's do this together. This is our year for conservatives to wake up and bring us back to constitutional values in this nation. Podcast going up a little bit. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Until then, everybody have a wonderful Wednesday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.